Hello everybody and welcome back to the Crooked Hour. Today we got how to bet both ways on Ilia Topuria versus Volkanovski. UFC 298. This is going to be a very interesting matchup, a scary matchup. No matter what side you're on, this has got to be a bit of a scary matchup. Like if you're on Volk, you got to be thinking, I just got to move this fucking sticker. Stay down, boy. This is going to be a scary matchup either way you're on. If you're on Volk, you got to be a bit scared that Ilia, is going to put him out, end his featherweight run. But then if you're on the side of Topuria, you got to be a bit nervous for him. He's been chatting all this shit, saying that this is going to be an easy fight. And if you're his fan, you got to want him to do that. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a little bit embarrassing. Of course, losing to Volkanovski is not embarrassing, but the way he's been talking is going to be a bit embarrassing if he does lose. So I'm going to go over the stats here, and then I'm going to break down the fight a little bit before showing how to bet both ways in this fight. So going over the stats, Volkanovski 26-3, Ilia Topuria 14-0, undefeated. Volkanovski with a lot more experience, but Ilia Topuria, it's not like he is inexperienced. He's not like he's 8-0 or 6-0. He's 14-0, which is 14 fights, decent experience. He is jumping up another level here, but in his other fights, he's looked like he has the ability to jump up at that next level. So it would be interesting. Average fight time, lower for Ilia, higher for Volk. But in saying that, Volk has been in a lot more title fights, a lot more 5-rounders, while Ilia's been on the come-up 3-rounders, you know what I'm saying? So Volk naturally is going to have more fight time, but Ilia does get finishes quicker than Volk from what we've seen. I guess that isn't entirely true, but I think it's just been because of the 3 rounds, you know what I'm saying? Ilia has a 1-inch height advantage, which isn't nothing new to Volk. He's used to fighting taller people. Reach, Volk will have a 1-inch reach advantage, which actually might be useful for him here, Just having that extra reach in the boxing exchanges. I know inch is jack shit, but it could help him a little bit, just throwing out those jabs. His jab will meet Ilia's just before Ilia's will meet Volk's, if you know what I'm saying. Like, that 1-inch, if you're Volkanovski, could serve you very well in this fight. If it was another fighter, I'd be saying, no, the 1-inch doesn't matter, but it could serve Volk very good here. Strikes landed per minute. So Volk is landing more strikes, but again, it goes to he's been in a lot more 5-rounders. There's more stats on him to go off. So he's landing more strikes per minute, which I think we will see. Striking accuracy, Volk's more accurate at 57% to Ilia Topuria's 46%. Strikes absorbed per minute, Volkanovski absorbing 3.42, Ilia absorbing less at 3.05. Defense, 58% for Volk, 67% for Ilia. But in saying that, as I said earlier, these two have been in a lot of have had a lot of a different career, if that makes sense. Like, Volk's been fighting for a lot longer on the highest level. Ilia's been coming up, not fighting as good people. So I think if the two were in a similar situation, I think the stats would be different, but they're still interesting to go off. The grappling, the takedown average. So 1.84 for Volk. We rarely see Volk shoot takedowns unless he really wants to mix it up. But Ilia does shoot now and then. You've got him at 2.19. Takedown accuracy, 37% for Volk, 56% for Ilia. Takedown defense, 70% for Volk, 92% for Ilia. So these two are hard people to take down. I don't see Ilia taking Volk down. Like, Islam had trouble taking Volk down, for crying out loud. I think it's going to be also hard for Volk to take Ilia down. I think they might cancel themselves out a little bit. And then submission average, Volk 0.2, Ilia Topuria 1.5. So if it does hit the ground, I think we'll more than likely see Ilia chasing submissions a lot more than Volk. I think that's safe to say. Now, breaking this fight down a little bit, how I think it's going to go, without spoiling my pick, which I will tell you later. It's hard to say. I think they're going to meet in the middle and be very patient with one another. I think there's going to be a lot of feinting, figuring out process. I don't think they're going to run in there crazy. I think they both know the levels here. As much as Ilia says, yeah, I'm just going to go out there and knock him out in the first round, I don't think he's going to fight like that straight away. Just in case he does run in, Volk might clip him with a big shot. Ilia is not unhittable, as you can see by the dent in his head. That wasn't on purpose, by the way. It's just the way the editing goes sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But no, I think there'll be a lot of patience, a lot of feinting, a lot of working each other out, a lot of jabs on the outside, a lot of low kicks before they start exploding at one another. I think we might see that towards the end of the first round. I think we're going to get a good 2.5 minutes of just them picking at each other, trying to work each other out. One might shoot a takedown on each other just to see what it feels like. You never know. But once that minute goes by, just see them exploding at each other. Just see them exploding at each other. Like, strategic, I'd say Volk's going to have to be on the offense more here, while I think Ilia's actually going to be looking for counter shots. So we might see a bit of a stalemate at times, because I think Volk likes to hit counter shots too. But I think Ilia's going to be looking to get Volk to come in and then tag him. Well, I think Volk's going to be looking for the same sort of, but I think he's going to be on the offense a little bit more than Ilia, while Ilia will be throwing out stuff just to sort of get him to rush in. Like, throw out a big straight right, then move back, try and get Volk to come in. I think those are things we could see in this fight. I think it might be a bit of a stalemate, but by the second round, I see it heating up a little bit. I see they're both sort of exploding at each other. They're both going for it. There's no more. They will wait for each other to come in at times to counter strike, but I do think they will be both on the offense a lot more, meeting in the middle. I think Ilia will be like, oh, I've went through the first round for him. I know him. I know his game. This is where I'm going to try and knock him out. Well, I think Volk will be thinking, let's try and get this guy out of here. Let's be smart about it, but let's try and get this guy out of here. I think it'll be interesting. And then from there, it's hard to say really. I just see that's how the fight going. I think there will be that working out process, and then I think when they get comfortable, it'll just be a back and forth. Might hit the ground, might not. I would say it does hit the ground once, whether it's Volk shooting a takedown or Ilia. I think one will shoot a takedown here just to mix it up a bit. And I just see a back and forth, trying to land big shots, but both establishing their jab too. I could see Volk using his leg kicks a lot against Ilia here. I could see Ilia using his body shots a lot against Volk here. It's going to be a good fight. It's hard to say how exactly it's going to go, because it could go a number of ways. Like, Volk could get starched in the second round. Ilia could get starched in the second round. You never know. So, but I see this being a bit of a stalemate, and then they're going to ignite and fight. That's the way I see it going. And from there, it's out of our hands. So now I've broke it down a little bit. That's sort of how I think it's going to go. We're going to go over the betting, starting with Volkanovski, the champ. The Volk man. Volkanovski. So for safe picks, I've got Volk via moneyline at 1.75. That's the official line for my book, Ladbrokes. A lot of these are on Ladbrokes. Some might be Sports Bet Australia. But I got Volk via moneyline just because obviously this is your safest bet. What if he does do a submission? I doubt it. What if he does do a KO? What if he does win by decision? So I do like via moneyline. And for Volkanovski, these are good odds. Like 1.78. When's the last time we've seen Volk 1.78 in the featherweight division? You know what I'm saying? So they're not bad odds. If you believe in Volk, probably just smash the money line, to be fair. I don't think there's much more else to say. Like, I think if I'm on Volk, I'll be smashing the money line. So that sort of covers everything. Next, I got Volk 70 plus significant strikes. Now, this is a bit of a wild card, you know what I'm saying? But just for interest, I was looking at his significant strike markets in previous fights. His fight against Yair Rodriguez ended in round 3. He landed 66 significant strikes. In his fight against Max Holloway, he landed like 180 significant strikes. And in his fight with Islam Makhachev, the one that went the first fight, the one that went the distance and Volk lost, he did land 70 significant strikes. If you see this fight being much more of a scrap than the fight with Islam, like I do, I think the 70 significant strikes could be hit by the third round or the fourth round. I think if that's what you're banking on, if you're banking on this fight going longer, I think Volk will be the much more active fighter. And I think 70 significant strikes is very likely, and I don't mind the odds for it too. Like, this could either just be a smash it on the line or put it in a parlay, but I don't mind this bet. 70 significant strikes. It is a bit of a sweat because if one of them gets KO'd or if Volk's fighting a little bit slower than he usually does. But I do like it overall. That's why it's in my safe picks. Risky picks. Volk via TKO KO, 3.75. Now, I won't lie. This is a little bit of a spoiler. I do think somebody's going to be getting KO'd in this fight. I think the further it goes on, the more it favours Volk. The earlier it is, it favours Ilia. But that doesn't mean that Volk can't KO him in the first round, and that doesn't mean Ilia can't KO him in the 5th round. You know what I'm saying? But I just think it favours them. It favours each more depending on the round. But I do see Volk getting a TKO KO here if he were to win. You know, I see the way Ilia fights, he does leave himself open, and I think Volkanovski will have big openings where he can land big shots. And I could see them both, you know, sometimes getting a little bit wild in the pocket, and that's when one of them can get tagged. And Volk does have a nice lead hook that he could sit Ilia down with. So I don't mind that bet. And then my other one I got, and that's at 3.75 by the way, if I didn't say that. And next up I got Volk via TKO KO round 3. These odds are fucking sexy. Like 19.00. I know it's unlikely. I know that's a really direct shot. Like that's like, you got to be spot on to get this. But if he's going to win by TKO KO, I think round 3 is the most likely pick. I see a bit of a back and forth wild fight. You know, Ilia landing some dope shots. Volk landing some dope shots. Round 3, Volk started to figure him out a little bit more. Gets him up against the fence, lands big shots, drops him, finishes him in round 3. I see the first 2 rounds. Round 2 is where it's going to get scrappy, as I said in my fight breakdown, but I think round 3 is going to be where Volk can really start putting it on him and probably get that finish if he does find it. So, could be after that, could be under that, but round 3 is a good bet for the odds. Like, it's likely compared to the other rounds than the odds. Like, sure, it could happen in round 4, but round 3 has a good chance. It's when he finished Yair, just for interest. So, next up, Ilia Topuria. Fucking butchered that name. I'm sorry, Ilia. I didn't mean to. I don't want to fight you, trust me. Though I'd KO you in 1 round. No, I'm just joking. I would never fucking do that, bro. I'd be dead in like 5 milliseconds, mate. But anyway, save picks for Ilia Topuria. Money line, 2.10. Now, this is just the same. I hate doing money lines. I always say it. It's a cop-out, blah, blah, blah. If I had a better bet, I would have put it up here, you know? I would have put it up here. But 2.10 for Ilia Topuria money line. I was thinking about just going with the KO for his safe pick, but then I was like, fuck, Ilia could win a decision here. Let's not cap ourselves. I was the guy who said Dricus wouldn't win a decision against Strickland. I said there's no chance. If it's a decision, Strickland's winning. But he didn't. And I kept that in mind with this fight. Topuria could win a decision by landing harder shots here and then dropping Volk. You just never know how a fight's going to go, especially when it goes to a decision. You never know what shots are going to matter more in each round. And Ilia could win a decision. It's going to be a hard task, sure, but it's very doable for him. So I like the money line because it covers if he does get a sub too. He does sub it up, and we did see Volk have some issues against Brian Ortega with the submission. So Ilia could do that if it goes to the ground. That's not impossible. So that kind of covers everything. That's probably the safest pick. And then I got one that's a little bit juicier, but still likely to happen if you're on the side Topuria. Topuria inside of the distance. This is covering TKO submission. I do like this bet because if he does get it done, as I said, it could be by decision, but I think it's much more likely to be inside the distance by KO or sub. More than likely KO. We'll get into that in a minute, but at 2.70, Ilia inside the distance, I don't mind it at all. Especially in a 5-round fight. If this was 3 round Ilia, I'd be saying, nah, money line all the way. But 5-round fight, more of a chance for him to find that KO shot, and it works both ways. Risky picks, Topuria via KO or TKO. This is just refining it back a little bit more, removing the submission from inside the distance. For these odds, they're fucking good. 5.25 for Ilia by KO. Like, that's his most likely way to win. On paper, that's his most likely way to win. You see Volk get head kick KO'd by Islam. Topuria's a power hitter. That's his most likely way to win. Like, you just branch it together. Topuria via KO, TK. If you feel a bit risky, want that odds, want that money, Topuria via KO, TKO is the way to go in my opinion. But if you want to play it safe, either probably just go money line or inside the distance. But I have a final one that's a little bit safer than the TKO KO. For Ilia to win inside the first 3 rounds, as I said earlier, I think this is going to be his best chance to win the fight early. So I could see him winning it by round 2 or 3, but what if he comes out and shocks us in round 1? You know, this covers all 3. If it comes into the final 4th round and he KOs him, you're fucked. Your bet doesn't hit. But if you think he's going to get it done early, from what I've said and from what you've seen, this ain't a bad bet. Something to look out for. 3.25. I do like it a lot. So they're the picks for Ilia Topuria. Now, prop bets. Starting with safe picks. Fight will end by 4-5 or decision. I know this directly contradicts Ilia by round 1, 2, or 3, but I like this bet because if it does go Volk's way, more than likely gonna go longer. I know I said round 3, but I think this is more likely than the opposite. Like, the other ones are good for their odds, but this is more likely to happen than for it to finish early. So this is covering you for if a fighter does get KO'd in the 4th or the 5th, or if they win by decision. So I do like that. That's a little safety net. You know, you just never know if the fight's going to end early, but I think it's more than likely going to end late if we're just looking at it on paper. So, and this also covers you for if it does go to decision. So I like that a lot. So that's a safe pick. I do think that's a safe pick. I know it's kind of contradictory. I know I'm realizing that now, like, what the fuck, that's contradictory, but I like that bet. I like all these bets, but I do like that bet. Like, that one's sexy. You know, if it does go that long, this bet's smacking, boy. This bet's smacking. As soon as the 3rd round finishes, nobody's won, nobody's got a KO or submission, you set. You fucking set, mate. So it's a good bet. I'm just trying to convince myself. Okay, risky picks. Fight to end by TKO KO at 2.15. This is if you think the fight's going to end by TKO KO. I'm not a big fan of the odds for this, like 2.15 for something this narrow. Sure, it's encompassing both fighters, Volk and Ilia. If they do get a KO, this bet smacks. Still, what if it goes to decision? What if one of them subs it up? I'd like it to be at least 2.30, to be honest, 2.50. That would be worth the money, but I still don't mind it. It's a pretty safe one. Still risky, you got to be sweating a little bit, but you know, it could be good to throw in a little bit of a risky parlay to end your risky parlay. And then fight to end by decision. I know they directly contradict themselves. They're at the same line. Actually, I don't think that's correct. I can't check it right now, but I don't think fight to end by decision is at 2.15. I think it's at 2.25 or something like that. I probably just forgot to write it in. It's decision. It's definitely more unlikely than to end by TKO KO, but I added it in case you're on the side of decision. As I said, this show isn't to tell you what to bet on. It's to show you options, what to bet on, depending on what you're already thinking. So if you're thinking of fight to end by decision, I'm saying I agree with you. If that's what you think, go for it. But if you're thinking fight to end by TKO KO, I also agree with you. That could be a great chance for that to happen. So it's really depending what way you think this fight's going to happen. Do your own research, see what you think. These are just good bets that you could go, oh yeah, shit, I didn't know that. I'm going to bet that type of thing. So yeah, that's my prop bet. So I'm going to go over the whole thing, recap. Safe picks, Volk via moneyline 1.78, Volk 70 plus significant strikes at 1.67, Volk via TKO KO at 3.75, Volk via TKO KO round 3 at 19.00. Great odds for that line. Unlikely, but great odds. Topuria moneyline at 2.10, Topuria inside the distance at 2.70, Topuria via TKO KO 5.25, Topuria to win in round 1, 2, or 3 at 3.25. Sorry, just got a scratch on my eye. Bloody allergies, man, allergies. Prop picks, safe picks for prop picks. Fight will end by round 4, 5, or decision at 1.77. Fight to end by TKO KO at 2.15, and fight to end by decision at 2. I'm going to say 25 because I think I wrote it in wrong. So with all that said, who am I going to go out of these two gentlemen? Am I going Volkanovski, Yadan, or am I going Ilia Topuria? Ego out the roof right now, but I respect it. I like it. I do like it. I'm going to go Volk. Anyway, Volk. I'm biased to Aussie fighters, as we all know. If you watch this channel, you know I'm biased to all Aussie fighters. Ilia's like, what are you doing, mate? That was a bit cringe. But I'm going Volk. I think he's going to get the win. I think he's going to win via round 3 or 4 TKO overall. I think he's just going to be able to sting Topuria, but I think he's going to have some nervous moments, especially in the second round. I think that's when it's going to be nervous for him. I think that's when people are going to be sweating. But I think in the exchanges, he's going to be landing the nicest shots. Probably not the hardest shots, but I think he's going to be hurting Topuria. Like, you mightn't see Topuria visibly, like, stumble, but you'll see his face starting to get busted up, his leg getting chewed up. And I think Volk will be looking for body shots here too. I saw it in his countdown. He's finishing every combination with a body shot. So we could see some body shots. I think we're going to see a hurt Topuria by the 3rd or 4th round. And I think Volk's going to put it on him. And like in an exchange, land a nice like hook, lead hook or something like that. I think he's going to land a nice lead hook or a nice straight. Maybe up it. And then he's going to hurt him and just jump on him and pounce on him. I'm going to go round 3. That's my official pick, Volk via round 3, but it could be round 4. But round 3, Volk, they're going to come out. Ilia will be doing well. Volk will be doing well. Ilia will be looking more visibly hurt. They'll have an exchange. Volk will land that lead hook, drop him, stumble him for a moment, then pounce on him. Maybe even go for a takedown similar to what he did against Yair and finish him up on the ground. Round 3, TKO win by the Volkanovski brother from Australia. That's my pick. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you agreed with my bets. Let me know what you're betting down in the comments below. And as always, guys, have a good one.
Give me 5 minutes, I'ma pull up with like 5 niggas. Give me 5 minutes, girl, I'ma be right with you.